Every week, we talk to a celebrity or a person of note or someone we're interested in talking to.
This guy's sort of all three of those, actually.
Indeed. Lieutenant Dan Choi.
That's right. And he is the face of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He basically is the gay face of military happenings. And he's all over everything all the time.
And he's not too happy right now with Obama.
No. Lieutenant Dan, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. It's great to be with you.
I was just looking at your Twitter feed, and you said you just got ordained as a minister. So first off, congratulations.
Well, thank you, my blessed congregant.
How did you get ordained?
I went through the American Marriage Ministries because my friend wanted me to do it the right way. He is getting married, and he said he wants to have it officially illegal, because he's actually in a state that does not allow gay marriage, same-sex marriage. I paid my good $20 for that.
Yeah, and what do you have to do beyond paying the $20? Because Ben and I have been discussing this, not that we want to become competition with you.
I know.
Well, I think you already know the answer to that, for you are so blessed to have such a great show.
Without the certificate.
But that is in itself a ministry. What you do is you spread the message of equality, and if you have that kind of a inspirational message, then why not call it a church? Why not call it a ministry?
Did you audit any of these weddings on the 24th in New York when it became legal?
Yes, I was a bridesmaid twice.
Congratulations.
It was actually a very tearful and very inspirational moment, because they had been waiting for 13 years to be officially married. The preacher has, Reverend Pat Bumgardner of MCC New York. She has been marrying people for her entire time as a minister, but she never could say the power I'm vested with. She wasn't able to say that. And for her to say that was so emotional for a lot of people, and it was her first legal New York wedding.
That's interesting. So do you think it was as emotional for her as it was for the two women that were actually getting married?
I think so. I think for all of us who have been working so hard, we wanted that moment to say that we finally are equal in this aspect. She has certainly spent her whole life fighting for this moment, and so it's a vindication as well as a inspiration.
Yeah. So before we move on from the marriage topic, how many marriage proposals have you gotten? Because when I Googled you, you type in Dan Choi, the second thing that pops up is Dan Choi shirtless. So we know you have a lot of admirers.
Oh, okay. I was saying, what's the connection there? Okay.
Well, I don't have a six-pack anymore, I'm sad to say. So people, if that's what you're looking for, I know that's a major standard in the gay community.
It is very important to a lot of people.
Maybe when I go, it's the name of your show. When I go back to the military, though, then we'll be doing enough sit-ups that I'll have a six-pack, so I'll have to get back to you then.
So you actually are going to enlist, is that for sure? Because it almost seemed to me like you have like a bigger mission going on now that actually re-enlisting might divert your attention from.
Well, certainly. I have a couple of things I'd have to take care of before I were to go back in the first place. So I still have to pay back $3,000. Apparently the military says is rightfully theirs because they kicked me out and didn't let me finish my commitment. I still have a court case on August 29th in D.C. in federal court because of the chaining at the White House fence. I still have a couple of things that I have to deal with before I go back into the military. But when I'm able to go back, it's going to be a vindication, not only for me personally, but for the West Point Honor Code and for the Army values that teach us integrity, respect and dignity and courage and selfless service, serving something bigger than yourself. And I get to finally, with my head held high, just as well as anybody else who has been kicked out of the military or was chased out, it's devastating, and to be able to go back within our lifetime, see gay people go back into the service, I think that's going to be just like seeing people get married.
What about this discharge debt? I mean, $3,000, that's obviously a smack in the face to you, and you've been speaking out about it. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Is Obama going to come around? Is he going to PayPal you the money? What's going to happen?
It's like a porn site where you sometimes give them your credit card number. Sometimes you do I thought that joke was funny. You know?
Oh. No, we were waiting for you to finish it. Yes. Okay, so wait, let's just be clear here.
Jokes all night, getting ready for this interview. I knew that it was going to be a tough interview, but
this is tougher than the military. Admit it.
That's right. You're like my drill sergeant. Yeah.
You better be doing push-ups while we're doing this, by the way.
Who's to say that I'm not? Yeah. Obama might, he might give me some love here.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure. I mean, I still hold out hope. I wrote to him and to his LGBT liaison, Brian Bond, and I have gotten nothing as far as action on these, not only for me, but for hundreds of others who have had to pay back don't ask, don't tell debt collection.
Yeah.
And now with this, they're not only going to the IRS and to the collection services, collection agencies where my credit score will be affected, but now they're going and trying to take away the last thing that gives me hope that this government is going to fulfill its mandate to its soldiers and veterans.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, hearing the sort of intricacies of it, I think that the average person can't really understand all of it. But one thing I've been really impressed with you is when I follow you on Twitter, that you're really all about keeping the pressure on everybody, and you tweet directly at Barack Obama. Have you had backlash from the gay community? Because the gay community seems to feel that, in some respects, that Obama's done a lot for the gays.
I'm constantly frustrated when gay people tell me that I should quiet down. For whatever reason, gay people have been told, we are getting more than any other president in the history has given. They might have a point. President Obama is much better on gay issues than George Washington with his, powdered wig.
Washington hated gay people, didn't he?
He wore a leotard with these button tights.
Right.
And, rode a little pony, had these hats, powdered his wig maybe 3 times a day.
Right. He should have...
I mean, hello, when you talk about self-hating, George Washington.
Total mask jock.
Well, he'd fit in the Republican Party of 2011, so...
That's right. He would have been the Michelle Bachmann of the day.
I read some of the comments on the blogs, and do you feel like people are abandoning you sometimes? I actually see that you retweeted someone that says, "Fuck you, Lieutenant Dan Choi, what a two-faced opportunist bitch."
Whoa. How did I miss that one on Twitter?
That's a very simplified way of expressing yourself, and I'm grateful that when I join back into the military that I will indeed be fighting in the forces which guard that right to speak such vitriol against me as a person and a human being. This is just the territory of the soldier. I don't consider myself their enemy, and I realize that they have a point, and they'll make that point. But in the end, I'm going to keep on saying what I know is true. All I've been doing is telling this government that they are not right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, certainly it's your prerogative, but it must become a lot of pressure after a certain point because we're all humans. And you actually were very upfront last year. You wrote a statement and said that the pressure was too much and that you sought treatment for it, right?
That's right. I had a nervous breakdown in December, and I'm very happy to talk about that, especially because so many people are not willing to discuss their vulnerability and their humanity. I'm not a Superman, and I think the message to any activist or any young college kid who is thinking about being an activist or just realizing that they're gay, and they think that they have to have a superhuman quality in order to do this. I'm just a regular guy. I just had extraordinary circumstances. I decided that if you're going to fire me, then I'm not going to shut up about it. It takes a toll, and after 2 years of essentially nonstop activist combat, fighting your opponents as well as the people that should be on your team,
yeah.
It can get very taxing, and I don't know if I would have done it any other way, though. You know, my message now to people is not, take care of yourself and slow yourself down. No, people have told me that, and I say, shut the hell up.
I don't sense you're slowing down.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on doing this, then I'm going to break down again, and then I'll get back up, and I'll break down again, and get back up, and keep breaking down, and keep getting back up. That's the only thing I know how to do. And I will devote my life as I was prepared to devote my life and risk my life in combat.
Yeah.
I'm going to use those skills because I know that what I learned as a soldier makes me a better activist, and what I learned as an activist will make me a better soldier.
I actually don't mean this to be funny, but did you tell what you just said to us? I'm going to crash again and get back up and crash. I mean, did you tell that to the people when you were in the institution? Because it seems like they wouldn't let you out if that was the case.
I was in the VA hospital at Brockton, essentially in the mental ward, with a lot of people who, if you start talking to them, they just start crying. And I just essentially had too much, particularly after the vote that failed for Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. And that was mid-December, and my friend asked me a very simple question as I was heading to the hospital. I was going there because I had indigestion and whatever. She asked me if I wanted to live anymore, if I ever had suicidal ideation, and I did throughout my entire journey. I keep telling people, I'm tough, I'm strong, but I read all the blog comments. Yeah. I read every single tweet that comes by. Sometimes I parry back and forth with them. Sometimes I just don't have the strength. When they question your right to exist in full human dignity and equality, you wonder if your life is worthwhile. We all go through the same thing, and to pretend that you are a Superman, I think, does a lot of harm to those young kids who are also having that same suicidal ideation. And it's important to let them know that we're all going through this. I give out my number. I know that the Trevor Project, 1-800-4U-TREVOR, is a very important lifeline. But more important than that, we should just reach out and say, look, you're not the only one that's going through this.
Well, that's good advice. Good advice. I got to know, though, what do you do to let off steam? Do you do yoga, boxing, grinder?
Grinder, yes. But that's problematic because Grinder is strange to me, actually, because so many people go on for different purposes. Some just want to chat. Some say, I'm not into hookups, which you immediately question, and you're so suspicious, and you say, that's BS.
Yeah.
I'll show you a naked picture, and then what do you think?
Right.
Yeah. I hope you're using one of the old six-pack pictures.
If you guys make a cartoon of me, I'll put it on my Grindr.
Hey, that's our trick.
That'll work.
I'm still learning a lot about the gay community. I like to say that I joined a movement and not a community because I didn't know any gay people before I met my boyfriend. I was so afraid to meet anybody. I found love for the first time, and that's when I realized this is the pain of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and staying in the closet.
That actually, ending on a note of love, actually seems pretty perfect. We appreciate all you're doing for the gays and all you're doing for the country. Thanks for everything. And now you're in New York City, so we're going to all have to go get a drink. And you don't worry, your boyfriend, it's not a hookup thing. We're just gay people casually hanging out.
Well, I'm single now. It was a great relationship. Maybe if you help me find somebody, then I can get married in New York as well. It would be a great vindication.
Well, you just put it out there for the listeners. So if you are interested in Lieutenant Dan, just send us an email, saywhat@sixpackage.com, and we will get you one hot soldier.
Yeah.
They call me a media whore anyway. I might as well.
Right? Yeah, use us to get the word out. Love it. All right. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Dan Choi.
Thanks.
All right. So
The Six Pack.